Flynn, and I'm your host, Warrior Winbush. This episode is about multiplicity in the multiverse. And I'm going to focus on my IMVU avatars, Raymond and Evangeline. So this episode is multiplicity in the multiverse. My IMVU avatars, Evangeline, Raymond, Evangeline and Raymond, Raymond and Evangeline. The metaverse brings about the dawning of a multiverse in which virtual reality collides with physical reality to create the blurred lines of an augmented reality, a surreality. It creates a dimension in which the multiplicity of the mind and the projection thereof is not only a possibility, but is very possible. Yes, it is very possible. Now, I'm going to discuss how I created both of my avatars with you and tell you, how do I know this? I know this because I've done this. I've done the multiverse metaverse thing. I did it a little over 10 years ago. My avatars, Evangeline and Raymond, did it. That's right. They are both my avatars. They have both been in the same space at the same time. Two separate personalities, yet very much the same person. Not multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder or anything like that, Yeah, but I've had them in the same rooms where they've conversed with one another and other people all in the same instance. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Now, how did it happen? Well, I was on. How did it happen? I was on Yoville back in 2009 on MySpace. I was on Yoville on MySpace back in 2009, and I used to love to customize that avatar. I was on other programs too, such as Doll Wars and even Pet Society on Facebook and stuff. And I just love doing it because in real life I'm a fashion designer, and in addition to being a social researcher and a writer. And on Yoville, I saw furniture and stuff and rooms and things there that I thought were pretty. Even things I thought my mother would like. And I got them for her too. I would have got her the moon if I could have. But then I started seeing promotions. Well, then I started seeing promotions for IMVU. And I got curious. And so I created an account on IMVU. And I loved it. I got hooked on it. And let's see, that's what led to me creating Evangeline. Now, I created Raymond because later that year, Michael Jackson passed away later that year. And I wanted an avatar, Michael Jackson avatar, so I created a separate account just for the Michael Jackson avatar. Well, my friend girls, they intervened. And when they intervened, that avatar didn't look anything like Michael Jackson. I put it like this: they had an intervention for me because I was going around dressing like, even in real life, not dressing like Michael Jackson, but wearing Michael Jackson like t-shirts and his like other little fan clothing. I was wearing that, pins and things. And on IMView, I had my avatar Evangeline dressed like Michael Jackson quite a bit until I used the male avatar to dress her to look just like Michael Jackson. Then I decided to make a separate account. And so that's how I created both of those avatars. And I'm doing this to let you know that you need to be careful when you are in the metaverse, especially since the metaverse is this big thing, it's growing into this phenomenon now. Be careful in the metaverse, okay? Because when I first started on there, I was by myself. I didn't have the Michael Jackson avatar or anything like that. And I was just, hanging around in the little starter set thing, starter set places that give you wearing the little beginner clothing and stuff. I was doing that. But then, oh yeah, every now and then I may look around the room or at the or at the camera. So pardon me when I do that. I'm nosy. Uh, but I started doing that, and I'll be honest with you. In the metaverse, you have a lot of different options because you're using your imagination, but some things that you like in real life, you're gonna like them in the metaverse too. For instance, this outfit that I'm wearing right now, once I started designing clothes on IMVU, I designed a dress that looks like this, but guess what? I designed a dress first, and later on, years, just like almost, just last year, I got this dress. Just earlier this year, no, just last year, I got this dress. And when I put this dress on, I was like, oh yeah, that's so cute, that's so cute. But then when I started writing articles about the metaverse, and I saw some of my pictures that I had taken on IMVU, and I saw a picture of my avatar Evangeline wearing a dress that I designed that looked super similar to this dress. I was like, what? I was too surprised. I was too surprised, pleasantly surprised. So, and I noticed some other outfits that I have in real life that look like outfits that I purchased on IMView. Some I purchased before I some I purchased in real life before, and some I purchased on IMView. Well, let's see how I'm trying to say this. Some outfits I purchased on IMView first. Other outfits I purchased in real life first. Even designed some I designed on IMView first. There's a hairstyle a hairstyle that I derived on IMView. Like I created the texture for it and applied it to a base hairstyle that another developer created. And when I did that, honey, let me tell you, it was so funny. I was on a hair site where I was looking at wigs at a wig store, and I saw this one wig, and they were out of that particular wig. And every time I went back to the website to look for that wig, it was sold out. And I kept trying to get that wig, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't get this color combination. But for some reason, I just really, really like it. Then after I started writing articles about the metaverse, right? After I started writing articles about the metaverse, hon, I sat up there and saw the hairstyle. Saw that hairstyle. I'm like, wait a minute. I designed this. I created the color and texture for a hairstyle similar to this, and this hairstyle is the same colors I used. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I wonder did these people see? I wonder did they see my hairstyle and say, oh, we gonna do one like that. That's what I thought. But okay, I wanted to say this. This is my first official video podcast. I'm trying it out for Anchor FM's video podcast, and I want to see how it turns out. I really do. I'm seeing how this turns out because I may do more video podcasts. But I'm telling you about my adventures in the metaverse as is because it's becoming increasingly a more popular phenomenon now. And programs such as IMView, Second Life, Avakin, and even like gaming programs like Clash of Clans and others, they basically are They are the metaverse and will be adapted for the actual augmented metaverse where you can go in, like it's like you almost can go into the program itself now using virtual and augmented reality technologies. So this I wanted to discuss it because so many people look at it like, okay, this is just fun, it's make believe, I can do a lot of things on here. They like fly, and become invisible just by being in this program. I can do that. I can change my look easily however I want to, make friends with whoever I want to, create my own world. And in that you have to be careful because you may inadvertently, and some people intentionally, become your own God. And the thing in life, the one we must focus on, God. That is the most important duty that we have to God and to ourselves, is to focus on God. We can't get through this life successfully, truly successfully, not materially successfully, but truly successfully without focusing on God. We just can't do it. So I wanted to tell you that, and I wanted to tell you, first of all, in addition to being able to just do the regular things of like creating your own reality and universe, that kind of thing, you may lean on it as a crutch to uplift yourself, and it can and to uplift yourself, change your mood, and just try to make things better. And you can't do that. Rely on God, trust in God, open that Bible, read God's word, trust in God. Don't look to it to be your comfort. Pray for discernment when engaging in certain activities and interacting with others. And interacting with others when you are in the multiverse, no matter which version you are in. Pray for discernment. Pray for discernment. Pray for guidance. Okay? And also, do not let yourself become morally compromised. When I ventured into the metaverse, I became morally compromised because of one thing. I looked at it like, this isn't real life. This is virtual reality, and I'm not actually doing these things. I'm not actually doing these things. Like, I got married on there virtually. Not a real marriage ceremony, just me and the guy, Tony, whose real name is Leo. Me and Leo, we got married on IMVU. All we did was he put on a tuxedo, I put on a bridal gown. And Leo, I had fun with him and everything. For the most part, I did. But there were things he and I did that we should have been doing, being intimate online and stuff, because we were actually married in real life. So therefore, we were in sin with each other. And there were other guys that I got involved with intimately, and we weren't, even though it was in the virtual world, we were still engaging in sin by even discussing such sexual themes. It led us into sin because we were sinning in our hearts. We were committing fornication in our hearts. So that led us into sin. Like, in the article that I wrote to accompany this podcast, I talked about a time when I went to a club, because Leo did not like going to clubs. He didn't. He didn't like going to clubs. He didn't like going out. It was a club on IMVU, right? He didn't like going out. I did. And I suspected that it was because he didn't want to be seen in a public chat room by somebody else he may have been involved with, and I didn't trust him because the same weekend he married me on IMVU, he married somebody else too. See that? So that's why I say be careful, pray for discernment, and you can't trust. You can't trust everybody you're talking to. You don't even know who those people are. Like, look at me. Raymond is my avatar. I speak for Raymond. I go into character when I speak, when I'm typing for him. And there have been women who were interested in Raymond. This is why he and Evangeline got married, because there were women that were interested in him, and sometimes guys would flirt with Evangeline, and it was messing up my conversation flow. Plus, I thought it was just plain old disrespectful, because they would be together and people would send Raymond in particular direct messages and friend requests, even though they saw Evangeline right there. So I wanted to say that. And some people, like me, I had them get married, of course. And they had children too. Why? Because, I don't know, I saw some cute maternity clothes on there. And I said, this is so cute, I'm going to do a pregnancy. I'll let them do a pregnancy. Now, I already had a lot of kids for Evangeline. I got Evangeline a lot of children because they were so cute, the little IMVU children on there. So I got a lot of them. I got a lot of them for them. Well, for Evangeline, and so she already had a lot, many of them are adopted, right? But that's okay. It's wonderful too. And so, I had gotten the IMVU kids for her, and then after I created Raymond, and eventually I did a pregnancy for them. I had them, have their own children, which they had twins. And, there are people who get so involved with the virtual world in the metaverse, right? Until, in some instances it's good. But in some instances it's not, because it may cause you to disconnect from reality, you know. But and like there was this, I had a friend, Trey, and I'm saying this, I'm changing the names for Treya for her privacy. But Treya had a male avatar as well. And I even named her male avatar. And Treya married, she had a female and male avatar, and she married a woman on IMVU, and they had a baby too. Not long after they did a pregnancy, not long after Raymond and Evangeline started doing their pregnancy. And so looked like me and Treya, we were cool. But looked like Treya's wife kept trying to one up me. Kept trying to one up me and Raymond. Like they did a birth center, invited our mutual friends, and took a limo to the birth center. And she would ask me, "Oh, have you decorated the twins' nursery yet? What are you gonna name them? And are they gonna go to preschool?" She would ask those kinds of questions. I'm gonna hold this up like this so when I look off, it could kind of look more like I'm looking in the camera. But she would ask me those kinds of questions, and I'm like, okay, she a little too into this, because this is a hobby for me. This is a hobby for me. Even though one time a guy flirted not Raymond, with Evangeline right in the front of Raymond, and I felt some kind of way about it. I said, and the answer I gave, because he asked her, what's your name? And I was like, the answer I gave was vulgar when I claimed ownership, because I was in character as Raymond, and I would be in character when I talked when I typed for him, because I didn't want him to sound feminine. If I just talk like how I normally talk, I didn't want him to sound feminine. So it was funny. It was real. It was funny. It was it was not cool though, because I was in sin because of my reply. But I'm just telling you, Be careful when you're on. Cause see, the women that approached Raymond had no idea that a woman is the person that they were really talking to. That they were really talking to a woman. One woman in particular, most of them were really aggressive. I didn't know women were so aggressive, just went after a guy like that. Because I never just go after a guy like that. I'm never like, oh yeah, how you doing? I never, make the first move and initiate intimacy. I'm celibate now. I'm celibate. I've been celibate since I've been saved, and I've been saved since like when my heart has been converted. I've been saved since 2014. In that regard, I thank Father in heaven. I thank God. I was watching Jimmy Swagger one morning, and I was looking at Lauren Larson, and he was saying that God felt like I did all this for you. I look at all the beauty, look at all these things I created for you and how I take care of you. Look at all these things I've done. And I felt so horrible when he said that. Because I felt that in my heart. And I started crying and I was determined to dedicate my life to God. And I've been doing my best to do it. And I've been asking God to empower me with his power. So even when I'm weak and stumbling, I can still go on. And so he told me go ahead and share your experiences on IMVU and other virtual programs, particularly IMVU, so that people will know what this metaverse is all about and what virtual reality is all about. Because even before Facebook changed their name to Meta and began to promote the metaverse, God had put it on my heart to talk about my experiences because okay, that's somebody outside blowing the horn. Because he was letting me know, hey, look, this is coming. This is gonna be a thing. It's like you marching toward the singularity nearly. If they decide to go, if that's the way things go, people need to know. And even if not, where that dominates, it can turn into an addiction. It can turn into an addiction. So warn people to be careful. And be careful. Like, look at Stephen Dollins and others who talk about the game Dungeons and Dragons. When you are using your mind, which is why you have to be careful not to give in to vain imaginations or create vain imaginations. Because when you give in to your mind, your imagination, your creativity, Satan will use it against you. He will use it against you so that you can be delusional and out of touch with your own self. First and foremost, out of touch with God, out of touch with yourself, out of touch with reality. So please be careful. And I created the IMVU children. I even gave Raymond an occupation. Raymond is he's a let's see. When people would ask me, and Father in Heaven, I repent for lying to create an identity for Raymond like that. When people would talk to him and say, oh, so what you do? Like, what you do in real life? That kind of thing. I would say, oh, well, he's a mechanical engineer. And on IMVU, he was a mechanic. He had his own body shop, his own auto body shop, and detailing, where he did detailing, customizations, and built and rebuilt cars. And there, he had a diner at the shop. And other things, even like a little small, it was like a little bar going, like jazz bar, but non-alcoholic, since it is auto shop and people will be driving leaving with their cars. And so that's what I did I did that on IMView. And people do that, you know. Oh, and let me finish telling you. Okay, when I was going about the club thing, when I was going to that club, right? When I was going to that club, and I'm going to do an audio podcast as well. When I was going to that club, honey, let me tell you, my IMVU husband, Leo, he tried to get me out of there. That was one time he just showed up in where I was. And it was interesting because Leo is from Italy. And so it's not even a cultural thing. It's like some kind of instinctive thing. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't listen to Leo because Leo had cheated on me before, so I ignored Leo, and I regretted it big time because I was, I had my Evangeline was intimate with this other, after Leo left, they got intimate with the guy, and right in the middle of while they were intimate, he changed his avatar to look like Satan. And guess what? I couldn't move Evangeline. That was the first time and last time I've ever encountered that where I tried to move, where I couldn't move Evangeline. I had no control over Evangeline. That's not supposed to happen. Other people are not supposed to override control of your avatar. I don't know what happened with that. And then later, I was so shaky. I got Evangeline. I moved her. I got her loose. But then I moved her. And then later on, I met another guy. And I was telling him all about it, and he was being nice and trying to be competent. But guess what? His head had a serpent tongue. I left out of that room with him and was like, okay, I ain't leave right away. But I really thought about it. I was shaking about the whole thing. And then next day, I went to church on IMVU. I not to take it lightly, but I say, I say, just like I can go to these little sex public chat rooms, and not even sex public chat rooms, but secular public chat rooms on IMVU, just like I can do that. I can get my behind to a church chat room, church public room on IMVU, and that's what I did. And I still chatted with Leo and met other guys, but all that, it slowed me down on the dating thing on IMVU. And then eventually, once I made Raymond, I just mostly messed with, played with him and Evangeline. I used to like to style them. Still do. I still like styling them. But, and I'm not telling you these things to be weird or vulgar or anything. I'm just telling you this so you can be cautious. There are people who are already saying that they have been raped in the metaverse. And so I want to tell you, just be careful in the metaverse when you're there, because it can make you could be making your world, and that world will make you over into somebody who you are not. So be careful. Be very, very careful. So I'm giving this a test run. I may do another video for this topic, for this article, this episode. And I'll keep this one up too. But I'm going to do the audio podcast as well. But I wanted to see how this one turns out. But please go to my website, stageleftplanet.net. It's my Stage Left Planet podcast and media site. Please go there, and please go to. Oh, and I want to tell you, I wouldn't trade my life for Evangeline and Raymond's life. I wouldn't want that. I want the life God. I want to be the person God created me to have, and the life God intended for me to have. I want that. I want God's will for my life and nobody else's. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. Please go to stagelifeplanner.net, and that is where you will find this video podcast, and you will find the full article that gives you the full details about Evangeline and Raymond and the beginnings of my voyages into the metaverse. And you will see pictures of them as well.